This episode of Marijuana Today Daily is brought to you by our friends over at Ease, California's top one-stop website for legal marijuana delivery. If you want top quality cannabis products that are properly tested, labeled, and packaged, brought right to your door in less than an hour, and you live in the part of California where Ease is active, you can just open up ease.com to get your order in, assuming it's during the hours when legal marijuana delivery is allowed. That's because following all relevant state cannabis laws and regulations is just how Ease rolls. Ease's customers benefit from that because of the higher quality standards and customer experience enjoyed by everyone who places an order through ease.com, spelled E-A-Z-E. From basic flower to pre-rolls and from edibles to concentrates, when you want top quality legal marijuana products delivered to you in California, you just need to open up ease.com. Good morning, Marijuana Nation. It's Friday, June 1st, 2018, and you're tuned in to episode 502 of Marijuana Today Daily. I'm your host, Shay Gunther, and I'll be walking you through today's marijuana news and headlines. As always, we have a full and busy day of cannabis news in our hands, so let's jump right into it. Our top story this final day of the work week is an international one as Africa's first medical marijuana dispensary opens up today in Durban, South Africa. The Holistic Relief Wellness and Pain Management Center will only sell CBD products, which were rescheduled by a South African medical council last year. The nation's cannabis laws are in a bit of flux right now as a high court ruled in March that the ban on marijuana was unconstitutional, so South Africa should remain an interesting generator of legal cannabis news in the coming months and years. Florida Democratic Senator Bill Nelson thinks that his state's Governor Rick Scott should get out of the way of a recent court ruling allowing medical marijuana users to smoke cannabis. Yesterday, Senator Nelson said, quote, "I don't want a government or a politician to get in the way of a doctor recommending what should be the treatment, the medical treatment for that doctor's patient. That's just not right, and therefore, yes, I support and have my vote medical marijuana recommended by a physician," unquote. When asked if his support included smoked cannabis, Senator Nelson said, quote, "Of course, that's what the constitutional amendment was." Last week, a county judge ruled in favor of two medical patients suing for the right to smoke medical marijuana, but Florida state officials have filed a notice that they intend to appeal that decision. Wrapping up our top three stories today is some good news out of California, where yesterday a proposed bill to set up a state bank for the legal cannabis industry was passed just ahead of a deadline to do so. Senate Bill 930 was approved on the floor of the California State Senate just one day before a deadline for state laws to pass out of their legislative houses of origin. If approved and signed into law, the proposed bill would set up a limited bank for legal marijuana industry operators that would allow them to deposit cash into accounts from which they could pay the state, wholesale vendors, and landlords. Not a bad story to open up and read. As always, we have all the news we cover linked to on our website at mjtodaydaily.com and on our Twitter account at mjtodaydaily. Those are our top stories for today. It's time for Marijuana Today Daily Headlines Blitz. Before we blitz out on headlines, let's quickly thank our sponsor, Ease, California's top one-stop website for legal marijuana delivery. Ease.com, spelled E-A-Z-E, is, of course, where you can go to place an order for legal California marijuana products for delivery, but it's also a fantastic place to go for valuable bits of industry insight and analysis developed by the editorial and analytical teams over at Ease. Ease is sitting on a very large sales data pipe, which they properly aggregate and anonymize before setting their writing and number wizards free on it, who parse out information, knowledge, and wisdom to be shared up at ease.com. If you could benefit from having a better understanding of cannabis consumers, then you really need to check out all that's up for offer over at ease.com. Just open up ease.com and scroll down a touch past the ordering box and sales items to find their treasure trove of editorial and analytical gold. Big thanks to everyone over at Ease for all the support. All right, time for the Blitz. A new study out of Canada suggests that people with PTSD are less likely to suffer from severe depression and experience suicidal thoughts if they use medical cannabis than if not. The study was done with data from Statistics Canada and found that people treating PTSD with medical marijuana were around 60% less likely to live with major depression and to have suicidal thoughts than non-cannabis consumers. The results were presented yesterday for the first time at the annual conference of the Canadian Public Health Association. Today marks the first day that the Massachusetts Cannabis Control Commission can issue legal marijuana business licenses, but as Marijuana Business Daily is reporting, that's not likely to happen today. But as they are also reporting, that's not expected to have any real effect on the July 1st date for when adult use shops will be allowed to open. As our very own Chris Crane tells Marijuana Business Daily, the first adult use businesses to open in Massachusetts are all existing medical shops, so it doesn't really matter to them from an opening day point of view if they get their license now or more towards the end of the month. Swinging up to Canada, we have news that major financial institution Bank of Montreal is stepping up their involvement in the legal marijuana sector by initiating research coverage and issuing their first report this week. Matt Lamer's story is a good one to open up for more details on that first report, which is good reading, though kind of secondary to the larger storyline that the bank is covering the industry in the first place. A proposed bill in New York State was just introduced yesterday that would allow patients with opioid painkiller prescriptions to instead use CBD-based products to treat their pain. Senate Bill 8820 was introduced by State Senator George Amador and approved quickly by the Senate Health Committee before landing in the Finance Committee for more deliberation. Marijuana.com is a good piece up with an interview with California State Treasurer John Chiang, who is also running for governor of the Golden State. State Treasurer Chiang has popped up in our headlines a few times over the past year for his work advancing the idea of a California state-controlled cannabis industry bank, and goes into a lot of detail on his thoughts on marijuana policy, so this is a good one to swing over for the full read and watch. Popping up to Colorado for a story, we have an interesting headline from Leafly about the fact that half of all the state's AdoptAHighway signs are controlled by cannabis businesses. Given how few marketing channels exist for the legal marijuana industry, it shouldn't be surprising that legal Colorado cannabis brands have jumped all over the AdoptAHighway program, but certainly a storyline that you might not have been aware of. And finally for today and for the week, we have a great longer form story up again in Leafly about the excellent Hood Incubator of Oakland, California, which works to support first-time cannabis entrepreneurs from the Black and Brown communities that have historically been the most negatively impacted by the war on marijuana. A bit of disclosure on this one, as our sponsor Ease is a financial backer of the Hood Incubator, a fact that I've talked about here on ad spots on the show. If you open up and read one story today, this is not a bad one to pick. Those are the headlines and news for the day. I'll be back with you again on Monday morning with another information-packed episode of Marijuana Today Daily. But in the meantime, if you have any stories to share or feedback to give, zip us an email to headlines@mjtodaydaily.com. And while you're clicking around the interwebs, swing over to our Twitter account at mjtodaydaily and visit our website at mjtodaydaily.com to find links to all the news we cover. Thanks to our sponsor Ease and to all of our awesome patron listeners for the support that makes this show possible. To join the lesser ranks of the patron listeners yourself, swing over to our website at mjtodaydaily.com and click on that big blue button at the top of the page that says Become a Patron. I'm your host, Shay Gunther. Thanks for tuning in, starting your day with marijuana today.
One take, Shay. One take.